Oh, that's now there. There's a whole bunch of people joining. Cool stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. I th- it looks like it's sharing everything. Let me just see. There's more people joining. More people there. All right, cool stuff. Just want to see. Oh man. Oh, I got it. Show only active speaker. There we go. Cool. No, that's not that me. That's the other guy. Okay, this is how we're having fun this new year. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I see it's 3 o'clock. So when I got married, I've been married now for 21 years. And on the day we got married, I was the guy who did projects at the bank. So I said, we're going to be on time. So I'm going to start. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And today we're going to talk about actually work in 2025 and how to grow smarter in 2026. And this is real lessons from real businesses. So it's not really theory. It's really stuff that we actually did with clients and things. So just the agenda for today, the introduction. I'm not going to do live stuff. I've got screenshots. The reason for that is you never know what's going to pop up on the interwebs. So I've just got a couple of screenshots to share with you. I will never share the business itself. So it's if it's a screenshot, we've taken away the stuff, but you can actually see some things that's there. We're going to talk about old school planning. I call it the 4 plans. And then 4 impact areas, what worked in 2025, AI and platform changes. What we do is we build sales machines. If you like what you see, you can reach out and book a time. We can see it's for you. I'm not going to do what some people call a pitch fest, like, hey, buy today, if you never buy today. So I'm not doing that today. It's really about, let's look at what worked last year. Let me share some of those things. Like I mentioned, this is being recorded. And then we're going to, if it's good enough, I'm going to put it on YouTube. So that's the idea. So that's what I'm going to do. So welcome. That's me and my fairy friend Max. Just quick background. I did my honors degree in marketing long time ago. I think 1999. Total quality management, project management, Google Ads, Facebook, e-commerce, sales funnels, all things like that. Marketing automation, LinkedIn stuff. And you can find all my stuff on LinkedIn. Everything is there. I built my first website in 1999. There's not many people can say that, so it's been a while. And then I worked for Nedbank for 5 years. I did projects and stuff, and we did a thing called SOCMM, Service Operations Capability Maturity Model. A whole bunch of stuff there, learned a whole bunch of things there. And then we've done over 2 million leads. I was part of a group. It was 2012, and there we did 1 million. Then after that, we did another 1 million. I've been doing this 20 years, and like I mentioned, that is me and my best friend Max. So that's just a quick introduction. So why most businesses felt pressure in 2025? What we saw was there was some uncertainty. If you think about all the politics stuff, if you think about what the Americans did with all of their things, there was definitely a lot of uncertainty, especially around the political type of stuff. We've seen the cost pressures because the ads sometimes go a bit higher. The ads keeps on changing to advertise. I remember when we did the campaigns on Google in 2012, I mean, we were paying 10 cents and 5 cents a click on Facebook. I mean, people were talking about 2 rand a lead and things like that. So there's definitely this change, the cost pressure and the change there. And there's definitely more competitors in the market. If you think about Shein, you think about Temu, it's not just people that's around the corner. My one friend, Albert, he actually bought some stuff for his motorbike, and he bought it on Amazon because the local guy's price was too much, and he bought from exhaust and shoes and all of these things, and actually, they imported that. So people are getting used to these types of things. So it's not just the competition that you see, it's actually competitors sometimes that you don't even see. So what's today about is what worked in 2025, changes on the platforms, what to focus on in 2026, and then practical lessons. And it's not just hype stuff, so it's really stuff that we've done. So who will get the most value today? Business owners in South Africa offering a service or product, ideally already spending money on ads because there's a big part of that, and then businesses with sales teams. So I like to start with old school planning. I know there's I mean, there's so many ways to do your planning, your stuff, but I'm still old school. So for me, it is the four things. It's a business plan, it's a marketing plan, it's a sales plan, and a digital plan. And when you've got that, it just helps with your business. So if you think about your business plan, the goal there is really to say, this is what your financials look like. This is what the market is. This is competitors. And then there's a thing called a SWOT analysis, but we like to use what's called a TOES matrix. So strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. But the TOES matrix compares those ones to each other, and you develop your strategies there. And then your marketing plan is about your messaging, about how you're going to generate leads, how you're going to convert those leads into sales. Your sales plan is how you handle your sales, what you say, how you handle it, what you do there. And the digital plan, gee whiskers. When we studied, I mean, marketing was, okay, let's go to Yellow Pages, let's do a newspaper advert, let's go to the radio, let's get some business cards, let's, brand the cars, and I did direct marketing, so, sending out letters and things like that, maybe a fax campaign, Now it's like, gee whiskers, there's so many options and so many things. Now, what we did was, I took all of these plans, and for clients, we actually now put together a business planning ChatGPT bot, and or custom chat, if you like. And the reason we're doing this is because when we did marketing plans, it sometimes took 30, maybe 40 hours actually to put that together. So it was a whole bunch of work that you had to do. But now you can upload documents, you can put it together. So I'll put the business planning one, and my other one is the 18 Gap Marketing over Boost Mill. I've got a couple of others as well. But this allows you to create your own GPT custom for your business. And I believe you need to have a paid plan for this. And I think it's about 400 Rand a month, but it's absolutely worth it. So you can then also use it a bit more. So what we then do is we create this custom one. You can give it instructions. You can upload documents that creates a knowledge base. And then what you do is you can actually start using this to help you develop plans and all of these things. Because the thing is it's the thinking and the planning that goes into this that's more important. And by using these AI things that's available to us, we can actually do it a lot faster, a lot quicker, and a lot easier because they've got so much stuff going on there. And if you've just guided the GPT ever so slightly and prompted nicely, you can do quite a bit of work. So it's not just the plan that you create, it's actually the thinking that you do around that plan that makes a big difference. Because if you want to make $1 million, there's a whole bunch of ways you can get there. So you can do one sale at $1 million, then you make $1 million, for instance. You can need to do 10, then at 100,000 you do $1 million, and 100 sales at 10,000 to get to the $1 million, or 1,000 sales at 1,000 for $1 million, or 10,000 at 100, or 100,000 at 10 to get to $1 million. The key thing is that today I'm going to talk about different sales values, and some businesses might be doing like 100, maybe 200,000 a month. Some businesses will be doing 20 million deals. So it's more about the principles that we're going to go over today than necessarily the transaction value. So when I talk about the clients like this one who added 400,000 Rand per month, because we increased budgets and we did a couple of things, it's not the value. That's, yes, it was great, but it's the principle that drove all of those things. So in the year 1959, 1957, there was this advertisement by McGraw-Hill, and it's been hailed as the best B2B business advert of all time. And that's the guy on the right-hand side. If you go look at some of my photos, I sometimes also wear a bow tie. And when I did LinkedIn training, I wore a bow tie. And it's just my it's acknowledging this ad and all of these things. So you're sitting there, this grumpy old man, and you're saying, I don't know who you are, don't know your company, I don't know your company's product, don't know your company stands for, I don't know your company's customers, I don't know your company's record, I don't know your company's reputation. Now, what was it you want to sell me? And then the more at the bottom reads, sales start before salesman calls with business publication advertising. Obviously, that was 1957, the internet was not really there yet, but the fundamentals are still exactly the same. And then 16 years ago, they made this advertisement, and it's there on the left hand side, and the guy's actually standing there. I'm not sure if you can remember, but back then we had these Bluetooth earphones, it was the in thing. So the guy's standing there, he's looking at his cell phone. Hey, that sounds familiar, right? Clicking the button, he's going, John, I'm not seeing these guys on LinkedIn. His website is totally flat. Da, 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 da. You can go look for that one. But it shows you that it is not about all of the text changes that's actually happening, but it's more important now than ever to be clear and specific on the fundamentals. Now, there's 4 key areas I like to, when we work with clients, there's 4 key areas I like to look at. The first one is market demand. I'm going to show you Pretoria versus Gauteng. Then I'm going to show you trends, which is the Google Trends one. And today, there was a new thing that came out, so I'll share that with you. And then well, maybe not today, because I checked it last week, and today was there, so it could have been in the week sometime. Your ideal client is just putting yourself in your client's shoes. My mentor, he always talked about this. He says, you need to put yourself in the client's shoes. You need to see it from their perspective. And then your offer, what works and what that entails, and comparing that to advertisement. So the first one, Pretoria versus Gauteng. So this is on my Facebook account. And this is for Gauteng. And I did some work. I mean, I said, okay, 25 to 65, I went to other things, just to focus on a higher income type group. And it tells me, if we wanted to target the whole of Gauteng, it's anything between 6.6 and 7.8 million people. Now that is Gauteng. So this is on Facebook. So if you think about who all you can target, that's the audience that's basically there. Then I said, okay, but wait a minute. I want to just target people staying in Pretoria. What's the impact there? Now, look at this. Immediately, this drops to 1.8 to 2.1 million people. Now, that's a big area. The moment you start changing this and you start adding stuff, the audience size starts changing. So they say ideally, not less than 300,000. But what we've seen is the moment you start going very, very, very local, that audience just starts shrinking. And what we've done well with clients is where people are actually in a broader market, so that they give Facebook a bit of breathing space, and then the campaigns really do well. I mean, the cost per lead just is absolutely fantastic compared to when you put limits on it. And we'll talk about the AI stuff that Facebook is doing as well, and we'll talk about it a bit later. And then this is for a client, like I mentioned, the target audience in this case is like 300,000. And if we had to go down and we had to look specifically, we'll see that when we ran a campaign there, we could see that they reached 377,000 people, and the frequency we had is 7.4. And the reason for the frequency is because people need to see your adverts not just once, they need to see it a couple of times. Sometimes you need a bit more, sometimes a bit less, but you can't just do one and expect just one ad will do all of the stuff. So you need to have a bit of a combination. But in their case, we basically reached for the year, last year, their whole audience, which was absolutely fantastic. And then the other one that we typically use when we look at businesses is called Google Trends. It's a free tool that you can use. So when we started research and stuff a long time ago, it was the year, 1999, and we had to do research. We asked like 100,000 Rand to do it. Now, these tools give us insights, and a lot of it is for free, so it's fantastic to use. Now, I love this one. So this is Christmas tree. So to give you an idea of Google Trends, if you wanted to sell Christmas trees in February, it's going to be difficult because the demand, the trend you can see goes up just before December, starts here by October, then strong in November, and then December, then it drops. So we've got a local Chinese shop around the corner, and you will not believe it. When we walked in there, I think it was the 23rd or 22nd of December to go get a couple of things, they actually took off and took away all the Christmas trees because they realized that people are not buying them anymore. So this trend in your market is extremely important to understand, because if you understand the trend, and if you compare last year to this year and you can get your trends, then you know what to expect during the year as well. Here's another one. So if you had to look at new car versus used car, and you can see they actually trend quite close together. And funny enough, if you've been looking at the NAAMSA stats and all of the stuff, you see it right at the right-hand side, there's uptick. So if you've been tracking that, you can see that there's actually been an an increase in new car sales. And you can see there, we've got there on the right-hand side a bit of an increase there. If you ever thought about businesses for sale, here's another one. And you can see over the past 5 years, there's been a steady decline. So we've seen a couple of markets that's got this decline, seen a couple of markets that's got this increase, and then we've seen a couple of markets that's basically just trending along. The challenge comes in when your demand in your market drops to zero. So sometimes, the demand just completely goes away. And then that becomes quite challenging because when you advertise, there's not enough demand in the market. So you typically want to have or be in the market where there's actually demand. It just makes life a lot easier. And then the next key thing is your target persona. So this is a sales funnel or a representation of a journey that your ideal client goes from a stranger to a loyal customer. And it all starts right at the top. So not everybody is your ideal client. So for instance, we've got this one client and they worked with a retail store, and the retail store actually implemented a card, and they could actually start tracking people's purchasing behavior. And they took this one client, a young lady, and they took her through the whole journey, and you could see how her purchasing behaviors changed over time. So she was buying, then she almost stopped, and then she started buying baby food and baby clothes. Yeah, so she got pregnant, then she had the baby, and then you can see now she changes and buying different things. So we need to know that our ideal client is right at the top. And it's not just about age and income and location. It is really deeply understanding who they are, what they most want, why they haven't gotten it yet, what they've tried in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what failed, how they think about money, time, effort, and sacrifice. It's not just demographics, it's the psychographics that goes along with it and the behavior that goes along with it. And those businesses that understand and know their clients best, talking about their language, offering what they want, those businesses will be the businesses that ultimately wins. So I have to give you an example of that. So saying, hey, this is Savvy Sally. So it's giving a name specifically. You've got age there, maybe education, some occupation. And then you've got this saying to say, in this case, I struggle to keep up with the ever-changing digital marketing landscape. It feels like I'm drowning in options, unsure which strategies. So this is understanding and defining exactly who your ideal client is. Maybe you've seen this one. So I use ChatGPT just to help me out here. So this one's baby boomers. And you'll see you want to do exactly the same thing for your business. You want to give it a name. You want to give your ideal target market a specific name. So homeowners with kids, or give it a nice name, because then everybody knows what we're talking about. So in this case, baby boomers, we know that born between 1946 to 1964, that's their age. So what's the key traits? They value trust, loyalty, quality. They grew up with TV, radio, and print. More patient, less impulsive, prefer brands with credibility and history. Marketing tips is email, Facebook, TV. Clear value propositions, testimonials, guarantees, authority, less slang, more clarity, healthcare, insurance, property. Those types of industries is really where the activity is also quite a bit. And then Generation X. Now check that. Do you see how it changes? The way that they, even the way that they look, the what they do, what they've got in their hands, and those types of things. So skeptical but practical, value, efficiency, and ROI, bridge between analog and digital, because now this is where I am. I'm between these two. And then if we had to go further, we say millennials, and then you go, oh, wow, digital first. This is what they grew up with. Value, experience, authenticity, and convenience. Price conscious, but brand aware. They do quite a bit of research before they're buying. Instagram, YouTube, Google, email, storytelling, social proof, reviews, mobile optimized journeys, tech, fitness, subscriptions, travel, online services. So that's millennials. You can do exactly the same type of thing for your business. And then Generation Z, mobile, native, short attention spans, value, speed, transparency, and individuality. Strong opinions, don't always trust ads. So TikTok, Instagram, Reels, YouTube Shorts, short, raw, authentic content. That's what they like. Quite a bit of influencers. They like them more than the brands. This is why we see this expansion of influencers as well. Community-driven messaging, fashion, gaming, fintech, those types of things. And then the new one, Generation Alpha. My kids are basically in this space. No, they're a bit older. So the previous one, I can relate to that one. So touch screen stuff, influenced by parents, all of these things. And obviously, you're going to market to the kids to influence this and that, and all of those things. So for your business, define your audiences, understand your ideal client is. Then we want to link this to your offer. And if you think about your offer, there's a base that goes along with this. So the base I like to use is this one. This is what I have. So if you think about what it is that you offer in your business, this is what I have. This is what it will do for you. And this is what you need to do next to get that thing. And if you follow that structure, it actually works quite well. But that's your offer. The next thing that you want to then go do is create your advertisement. And then you're going to test these two different things, because testing an offer is not the same as testing an advertisement. Because your offer is one thing. It's like, this is what I have, this is what we'll do for you, and this is what I want you to do next, compared to what the advertisement actually looks like. So did you know, only 3% of your market is actually buying now. So that's where lead generation campaigns typically fit in. It's also the most competitive one, because here we want to get people to put up their hands, say they're interested, they want to buy now, they want to do the thing, they want to go. So it's very, very competitive. If you go look at, client was at yesterday, we spoke about people who key locksmith guys, super competitive, because you locked your keys. Something's going on, you need help now. I'm not going to fill in a form and maybe somebody's going to phone me. No. I'm on that phone, I'm dialing, I want to find somebody that can help me now. If your buzzer bursts, if your geyser bursts, same type of thing, it's like, I can't wait until next week. Today is the day. So those markets are typically competitive. That's the lead generation one. But what about the other 97% of the market? That's where we see brand campaigns fills that gap. So it's where you build trust, you build awareness, that they know about you, all of those types of things. Ideally, also, that you almost want to get them onto your database. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But you want to get them into your database a bit earlier, because you don't want them to go back to Google or somewhere else to find stuff. You want them to come to you and say, this is my obvious choice, and they choose you. Now, Google released this about a year ago. They talk about touch points, and they talk the Google 7-11-4 rule. Basically, what this means is 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points. So we're talking email, WhatsApp, platforms, calls, those sorts of things, and 4 locations or platforms that people see your stuff. So, number one, 7 hours of engagement. So I'm a bit older, so back in our day, we used to watch MTV and all of these things. I remember when we were at university, they had a big TV thing in there. We watched all of the people singing, and we watched it over and over and over. And that's the engagement that we had then. So then you start relating to the band, and you start, I know these guys. I can, they're like me. I can feel because I've gone through this engagement process. So if you think about the content that you need to put out, look at it, it's 7 hours of content. So how much content must you make? 7 hours. And remember, this is a year ago. So this keeps on increasing the touch points, the amount of interaction and engagement that people need to have with your brand or your business. So 11 touch points. So you typically want to convert paid traffic, which means traffic that's on the internet, to your own database. So you convert paid traffic to own traffic. And the reason for that is because then you've got a bit more control. So if you think about insurance ads in South Africa, then what you'll see is that they say, hey, send us your details and we'll contact you for a 10-minute quote or whatever the case is. So there's two things that's happening there. The first thing that's happening is that they get your contact details. So they say, hey, send us your contact details and we'll reach out to you. Cool. So they're in control of the sales process. The second thing is, and you'll hear this 10-minute thing that they changed in the ads. I think in the past, when you phone or they phone you, it's like, how long will this take? So they preemptive with their marketing to say, hey, expect about 10 minutes for you to be able to get a quote. So I thought that was quite clever, because that must have been a pain point. So they changed it a while back. But again, it's about, advertising and then getting people in. Now here's the challenge. Attribution. So attribution is when you get a lead or when you make a sale, is where did this sale actually come from? And the Afrikaans word is deurmekaar. It is messy out there. It is not this linear process where somebody sees this one thing, sees another thing, and then buy. That's a representation that we've got, but that's not how life happens. Life is messy. Life is a moving parade. We move into a sales environment and then out, or into a sales mode and then out, so into a buying mode, and that's a better word to say, into a buying mode, and then we move out of it. So it keeps on moving. So the challenge is that our attribution on the platforms is not really catering for that. So you need to have something else on the side to feed data back into the platform so you can actually get your attribution right. So when they come in, so first attribution, what created the sale maybe at the end, look at the opportunity, how did that manage? But do know that it is absolutely changing quite a bit, especially with the privacy policies and all of these things. So there's these changes, especially in attribution. So figuring out what's working is typically not one thing. It is the combination of your ads and your campaigns and email and the whole thing. It's the whole thing that you need to look at. So it's not just Google ads and Facebook ads. No, it's the whole combination. So lessons that we learned. The first one, keep on marketing. Please don't stop, because stopping marketing creates a delayed problem. Stopping campaigns, we've seen now, also it restarts that learning process. So the thing needs to start learning again. The one client that paused it a bit, went again, and then you had a spike because they was going into learning mode and stuff. So restarting it's a lot harder, and you need to wait for data to come back in and those things. So ideally, if budget is sometimes a thing, what I was saying is drop the budget and be more consistent than what you're going on, off. Rather be more consistent in your marketing, because now that just works so much better, especially to see what works and what doesn't work. And then January is a choice. So a couple of years ago, people said, no, nobody is buying in January. No, but everybody is on a holiday. Cool. So what has happened is we've seen this change. It's like in November, people actually carry over into a bit of December, and then they do go away, but they keep watching stuff, they're making lists, they're looking at stuff they can maybe buy in January, all of these things. So a couple of clients now, the client was at this morning as well, they also said they were marketing through the whole of December. We did that, and we had a fantastic bumper Jan already because we didn't slow the momentum. Another client, the same thing. I spoke to them last week. Also, they said, okay, we're going on. And when we spoke, he said that it was the best thing because we kept the momentum going. So it's not a cold start that you've got in December. It's like you've got this momentum is actually moving. So it helps to keep on marketing and not just like in December. Just let it run, let it go. Bigger value makes more sense. So higher transactions typically win in tougher markets. So what we mean by that is let me take the insurance one. So insurance is extremely competitive. So if you're spending 500, it's 500 Rand a click, which means your break even is in year 2 or 3, because let's say you do insurance for a car, you get 1,000 Rand a month, it takes all of that time for you to be able to make your money back, you only break even year 2 or 3. So it's quite competitive. Whereas if you were marketing and your cost per sale was 500 Rand, but your transaction value is 100,000. I mean, it's just the same effort, but the return is so much better. Typically, you chase less leads because the transaction value is higher. There's fewer clients, and then sales perform better. So Mr. M, so this client I sat with, when was it, June, July, around about there, and I asked, but what's your bigger transaction values that you do? And we said this thing, and lo and behold, we ran a campaign in first week, 20,000, 50,000. It was fantastic. And so instead, his usual transactions like 1.5. So instead of just doing the 1.5, saying we were hitting 20 and 30,000, 50,000. So a bigger transaction, and that makes the campaign so much more worth the while. Mr. K, the same thing. They're doing bigger projects, which means that instead of selling a 2 or 3,000 Rand thing, now they're doing a 80 or 100,000. Just makes a world of difference. And then Mr. F, what we did there is he also does bigger projects, but we expanded the areas that they actually go into. And when I spoke to him last year, he said to me, they need to drive after these deals because they're bigger transactions. But it made sense because the transaction was bigger. It's very hard. That's why we started with how to make a million. It's a lot harder to make a million of 10 Rand sales compared to maybe just one sale at a million. So having bigger transaction values definitely helps in justifying your marketing and making it break even, making profits and stuff like that. Consistency beats everything. Consistency compounds. I know it's not flashy. It's not that exciting, but it's super, super powerful. Like this one client, we've been running now his campaign solidly for 18 months. This generates leads every single day. It's just absolutely fantastic. And we just keep it running. There's other consistency. So the one client I was talking to, he told me, I've been watching you for 6 months. And then he said, okay, let's have a chat. And then this other client, he also said some of their clients have told him that they've been watching them for a whole year, a whole year just to see. And now they decide to buy. So it builds this momentum within your business that you can actually then get better results. So consistency beats everything. Like I mentioned earlier, if your budget, let's say you're moving too much on and off, rather drop the budget that you can keep it more consistent. It definitely helps. And then lead volume first. So volume creates opportunity. If you don't have leads, if you don't have, I know these people saying, oh, you want the perfect client. The perfect client is kissing 100 frogs, finding the right one, So it's volume creates opportunity. It also shows you where your sales process is good and bad. So if you only get one lead every 10 days, you'll never know if your sales process is actually good or not, because it's only one lead. But if you get 10 a day, suddenly you're going to start seeing, gee whiskers, this and this and this, I need to work here or there. So volume creates the opportunity. And then biggest month for this one client, January, this month. Okay, so I spoke to them in December when we were playing golf. And they're looking at 12 million of sales for this month. It will be the biggest in the history of the company. And what we did last year is we built this volume coming through. It's like going to gym once a month versus daily. The person who goes daily is going to perform so much better compared to somebody who only goes to the gym once a month. You'll be sore, you'll be stiff. And the same in your lead gen applies. You want this volume coming in. It's like an engine. An engine needs fuel to run. If it doesn't have enough fuel, it won't take over. So lead volume, super important. Tracking, following up. So seeing leads changes behavior. What we mean by this is it's not just an email that comes in, somebody's interested. You need to see your pipeline. You want to see and track it from beginning to end, and you want to see that whole thing, because what gets tracked gets followed up. And creating this visibility creates accountability. So we say, John, this is your lead. Susan, this is your lead. And so the whole, Simon, this is yours. And you can actually see then who's following up with what, get the visibility. Because most leaks happen after a lead arrives. So you get a lead, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't happen afterwards. So tracking and follow up just absolutely helps. And then building your database. The real asset in your business is your database. It's clients that's bought from you before. So if you think about building a database, what are you actually busy with? It's creating this client base. Think about this. MTN, Vodacom, all of these companies, big companies, they don't rely on Google and Facebook to work each and every month to be able to make sales and turnover and all of these things. Yes, it's important. What they do have is this big customer base that keeps on buying month after month after month. And that's the key to business, is building up a client base that keeps on buying. In your business, it might mean 1,000 people. There's a whole story about finding 1,000 fans, and you can live anywhere just by that. But you'll have a number to know what your database size needs to be like, because what you want to do is you want to get repeat sales, you want to get referrals, and this brings stability to your business. So there's a couple of clients, because we built out the database, they've now got the stability in their business. For Timothy, the one client, we actually helped him grow his database from 3,000 to 12,000 in 12 months, and it literally tripled sales, gave him this stability, because he had this base of clients who kept buying stuff from him. Now, maybe you've seen this, but Facebook spent $250 million on this guy. It was last year sometime. I read the article, found it now again, just to show you the amount of money that is being spent on AI. This is just one person that knows a couple of things. So Mark I think actually jumped in apparently according to the articles and said, no, we need this guy, pay him that. So he didn't get in salaries, benefits and stuff, but 250 million, I think it's 24 years old, something crazy like that. So Facebook uses AI all over. And I'm part of some groups, and the one group, we have got meetings every week to talk about these things. And the one guy actually said he spoke to somebody there and says, gee whiz, with all of this AI stuff, we don't even know what's going on. So why does marketing feel harder? Because Google's getting more competitive. It's not broken, it's just getting more competitive. There's definitely a lot more advertisers in the market, and AI-driven bidding. And AI is embedded everywhere. So this AI thing, and because companies are spending so much, they want their return. So what we're seeing is changing behavior. So in the past, we used to say, hey, just Google it. Now I'm going to say, hey, I ChatGPT it, or I'm going to AI it, or this. ChatGPT is not the only AI. There's a whole bunch, but it's become mainstream. And because of that, it's actually changed behavior. So Google, even in November, had a new launch of the one AI helper type of thing, just to split the ads. So they're splitting these things. Now in the year 2014, if I remember right, what happened was Google had ads at the top, 3 at the top, 10 at the bottom, 10 on the side, and then 3 at the bottom. And then one day we just woke up and they took away all of the ones on the side. AI is even more disruptive than that. So what becoming more important is structure is more than tricks. So you want to build these structures in your marketing that when these things change, that you're ready for it and then it goes on. On Facebook, they talk about it's rewarding clarity and volume. So it's posting a bit more content stuff that's a bit more different and quite clear. Why? Because their AI actually reads the stuff and understands it. It's like when you take an image and you upload it, they actually understand what that image is, and they can read it and they understand it. And so your creative process and your creative images that you're going to use is playing a bigger role. And then also with your messaging, to be very clear who it is that you're targeting and who it is that you actually want as your clients. So it goes back to what we started with. It's your 4 plans that you need to have. In those 4 plans, you define who your ideal customer is, and you want to use the same language, because this AI stuff and on Facebook and all of the socials, they can read these things and they do it faster than ever before. So it's super important that you be very clear and very specific about who your ideal type of customer is, that you talk their language, and all of these things, because the models can read and interpret that and then show your ad to the right type of audience. When you don't do that, it's going to show you to the wrong audience. All the audience settings has been going away over time. If it's so often, we get a message that says, hey, this audience and that audience have been combined. Or, hey, listen, Johan, this is another audience that's gone, or this is gone. We're taking this away, because they're relying more and more and more on this AI stuff. So that's why the messaging and the creative is becoming so important. And then social media, organic versus paid. I absolutely love paid because you've got so much more control. Organic is still important because that builds trust. So paid creates a bit of demand, and then the organic one builds trust and authority. So paid is also faster. So what we typically do is we take some of the posts and we just give it some attention, and that gives us the acceleration, because we're actually buying data. We're buying time in front of people. That's what the stuff is actually doing. And this combination of things. So it's not always just the one. It's this combination that gives you leverage and that helps you perform better. I almost read that one wrong. So AI, the shift, nobody can ignore. That was funny. Okay, so AI didn't replace people, it just replaced delays. So in the past, if I had to ask you to write out this whole thing, if I had to think ChatGPT, because that's a popular one, it will take days, just to write something. Now it's so much faster. There's faster responses and there's faster development. Maybe you've seen how AI is actually coding things. The other day I also had to write this piece of code. And I said, gee, this is going to take me a day, and I just put it in there and there it is. So it's faster development. They now say that it can actually find errors, recode it, and do things like that. So it's moving very fast. Better follow-up and stuff. So because of this, like we've got an AI employee, because of these things, there's better follow-up and better stuff like that. So it helps. And then after hours coverage, which basically means that So I phoned Vodacom the other day, and they've actually got also this thing. So it's not just in the hours that we work, but it's also after hours. And I think this has changed quite a bit. If you think back with COVID, how our lives have changed, how working from home and different hours and things, the whole world's still, but messy in that way, that we work different hours. So these types of tools help move along. And then it's intelligent support for sales teams, operations, and managers. So for sales teams, we typically put something in place and they answer stuff. For operations, it is also just taking stuff and making it better. And then for managers, I know a whole bunch of clients who take their financials, upload it, do stuff, do analysis on these things. So it's helping people just moving a bit faster. But the goal at the end is becoming less dependent on platforms. The reason for this is because these things keep on changing. At some point, in some markets, you're just going to say, do you know what? It's becoming too expensive for me to market this. And then what do? I mentioned insurance. In South Africa, insurance cost per click is, let's say, 500, maybe 700 Rand. So you need big pockets or big budgets for those things to run. In South Africa, we've still got it very lucky. If you go to America or the UK, the cost per click and cost per lead there is so much more compared to our country. So make hay while the sun is shining. And in our country, it's still very affordable compared to many of the overseas companies. So the goal is understand who is your ideal client, have a fantastic offer. Then it is about paying to get data, because what the paid ads does is just takes your stuff and just put it in front of people and then build a database, because then you become less dependent on the platforms. So if you think about this, we've got 3 core systems that we like to look at for a business. I'm going to share those ones with you. So the first core system that you want to put in place, and I talk about a system because it is not something that you, it's a system that gets put in place. It's not just something that happens by the way. It's a core system in a business, especially for marketing and sales. So the first one is getting new leads. This is new people coming into the business, putting up their hand, saying they're interested in what you've got. So it's new business. If we talk about the database, they typically say a database grows stale by like 10% per year, which means if you've got 1,000 people on today, or clients, and the next year that will be 900 because you dropped with that 10%. So this year, the leads to get in needs to be 100 just to keep that on the same level. If you want to grow, it means you need to get 1,100 people on there, or extra 100 people, so just to make it grow and make the business grow. So that's new leads. Super important is customer retention. The more customers you're going to keep, the better your business is going to be. And then it's not just those customers, but then telling other people that you're awesome and you're getting referrals from there. It's not hoping for that. Each one of this is actually a system that you build. And if you want to look at key metrics for each one, this is a basic one just that you can actually use. So if we talk about the system as lead generation, what's the focus there is new opportunities. The key metric, cost per lead, and your conversion rate and your ad costs. So that will give you that one. And then retentions, how many of your existing customers are you actually keeping? And a metric there could be repeat purchase rate. And then a system, word of mouth, it's referrals. So that's the focus, is getting referrals. And then your primary metric could then be referral sales. Now, the other day I was sitting by a client, and one of the things, maybe you've heard this stat, they say that it costs 5 times less to make a sale to a current customer compared to finding a new customer. Now, then we go and say, oh, well, that's fantastic. We need to do that. Here's the thing. It still costs you 1 Rand. If it's costing you 5 Rand to get a new customer, it still will cost you a Rand for a repeat sale. And when you realize that that's what you need to put in place, is a system like this one. So it's about putting that system in place, and it's still going to cost money, but not as much as generating a new client. So 3 marketing and sales strategies for 2026. This is really where we're putting a lot of our focus also. And when we talk to clients, this is really what we're looking at. The first one is build lead flow. So predictable demand beats hope. It's this combination between Google and Facebook working together. It's not just the one, it's the combination. And it's getting enough volume. So there's a point, like this one client, they're doing like 2,600 leads a month. They had to employ more salespeople to be able to handle that type of volume. So there's a point that that it just becomes too much. So you need to find that happy place that you can say, cool, this is the amount that we can actually handle. And there's two types of constraints. There's a physical one and a mental one. Physical one is like, well, I can only do 100 widgets a day. Don't ask me to do more because I can't do more than 100 widgets a day. So that's a physical constraint within a business. So you almost want to get there. And then the mental constraint is just what we tell ourselves. So you need to figure that one out. But enough volume is key. So what we did beginning of last year for the client, they got a specific type of service. And my suggestion was that we run one dedicated campaign just on this one specific service. And what happened was, it just created this predictability in the business. It stabilized the whole business. And every single month, we're spending 200 Rand a day on that one single type of service that they've got. And is building the whole business and is giving them that stability within the business. In the past, what happened was they had good months, bad months, then a great month, then a shocking month. So it's like all over the show. And when we did this, because we had lead flow, it had the stability within the business. And then don't starve the pipeline. It's like, I know people say, I want the perfect client all of the time. We all do. But it's kissing 100 frogs sometimes to get to that ideal one. So if you starve the pipeline, so what we've seen is people say, you put too much friction in the front, and then there's not enough lead flow actually coming through. When we were working 2012, we did a whole bunch of Google stuff. The one client got this message, it was 17 words, turned out to be the biggest sale in the history of the company. But they had this lead flow coming through. They were selling mattresses, and this was a hotel company, and I bought like 1,000, 2,000, whatever it was. But do you see, it's this lead flow that you've got within your business. So don't starve your pipeline. If your salespeople say they don't have enough people to talk to, that's a key thing. So, and if they say that, I'm going to say, hey, did you follow up with other clients before? So this client, we started last year, and we got to a certain lead flow volume, and he said to me 3 months in, do you know what? The sales guys can never say, I don't have people to talk to. I can go back to my database, because we built a database of clients to say, hey, mister, you're interested in this. We've got this thing coming up. We're inviting you for this thing. Come have a look. So, yeah, that's just fantastic. And then the next thing. So in the meeting yesterday, we talked about stopping leaking sales. So it's not just getting lead flow in. Many times it's once you've got the lead, there's where the most of the leaks are. So growth comes from fixing the sales leaks within the business. And if you've got visibility in it, and you've got accountability on your pipeline, then you can actually start seeing where these leaks are. And what you do is you start plugging those leaks. And then you put follow-up systems in place, because people can only work so many hours, but your follow-up system can do so much more. So then that helps and supports your sales effort. You do want this visibility, you want this accountability. And then super important, one of the biggest leaks, client retention. If you fill the bucket by stopping the leaks that's there, your bucket of sales just fills up so much quicker by stopping the sales leaks within the business. For instance, there's one client, they just they could see all the leads coming in, and what they did was the one lady just messaged the people and said, no, fine. And what happens? Sales. And then that's build a sales engine. So marketing brings attention. Sales engines turns it into money. So it's getting the new leads. It's making sure that you've got a great follow-up process. It's the retention of those leads and those clients, like building that out, and then having a system in place that you actually get referrals from your top clients. Because if you ask and think about your business, if you just say to somebody, hey, tell people about us and I'll reward you, they won't always do it. The people that will refer is the people that's the happiest with your business, that's giving you 5-star reviews, that can't stop talking about your business. Those are the guys that's going to give you referrals. If a person gave you a 1-star, they're not going to do that. So, it's building that out and making sure that that's there, because systems, not memory. Systems, we make notes, we remember stuff. There's so much going on in business lately that you need to have that in place for you to work well. So that's me. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't actually know what the time is at the moment. Let me just have a look there. That's it. All right, cool stuff. Thank you so much. I'm gonna click a button here now.